Hello everybody, my name is Codlon3639. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one we're doing another card analysis video, and in this one we're doing the new Sprigguns Archetype that's coming out in Blazing Vortex this Friday. So yeah, I'm going to go over all the cards that are getting released in Blazing Vortex. They're all their effects and everything like that. And then at the end of the video I will give my opinion on what the deck can do. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So we're just here on Dueling Book, just I'm going to give you the effects and everything. So first off, they will have let's see, they have 4 monsters, 2 spells, and 2 traps, and then they have 2 extra deck monsters as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. First things first is Springans Rocky, which is a level 4 fire machine. When this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 Springans monster or 1 Vast Desert Gold Golconda in your graveyard, except Springans Rocky. Add it to your hand, and if this card's in your hand, field, or graveyard, target 1 Springans XYZ monster you control. Attach this card as material. You can only use each effect of Springans Rocky once per turn. So every Springans have the same bottom effect, or well, all of them share a same effect of they can attach themselves from anywhere on the field, from hand, field, or graveyard. They cannot attach themselves in the banished area, but that really doesn't matter. Hand, field, or graveyard is absolutely amazing, and just being able to attach themselves to anything is pretty good. So yeah, that's the effect of Springans Rocky. Then we got Springans Pedestal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Its effect is you contribute this card, then target 1 Springans monster in your graveyard, except this card. Special summon it. If this card's in your hand, and then the same bottom effect as Rocky, of course. Again, just attribute itself to add 1 Springans monster, or no, special summon 1 Springans monster is pretty good, I guess. It's kind of has a little bit of a combo. If you tribute off Springans Pedestal, you can special summon Rocky from the graveyard. Rocky's effect can add Pedestal back to hand. So it's kind of one of those things that could have that infinite loop right there. But it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Now we go into Springans Captain, which is actually a level 8, but actually, let me make sure I'm correct on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a level 8. And then it has the same top effect as these Springans Rocky and Pedestal's bottom effect. If this card's in your hand, field, or graveyard, target 1 Springans monster, XYZ monster you control, attach this as material. But it does have an on-field effect. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from a monster you control, target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it, and you can only use each of the effects once per turn. So yeah, if it's on field, it has a 28 defense, which is actually pretty nice. And then you can detach something from, like, I don't know, the XYZ monster that is coming out with it, and detach from that, and then all of a sudden you can destroy 1 card on the field. It's a nice way to have removal on the field. And then we got the last monster, which is Springans Bangor, which is getting, all these are getting renamed in the TCG. I just don't have the names on the Dueling Book right now. But yeah, this is for sure getting changed. So it has the same top effect as everyone else, attached from anywhere. And then its bottom effect is if this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card and 1 other Springans monster from your graveyard, except Bangor, of course. Add 1 Springans card from deck to your hand. So it's a searcher for the deck, but it kind of has to go -2 in the graveyard, and especially in this deck where you can actually attach from graveyard, that's actually pretty good. The only way they can't attach themselves is from the banish area, so banishing Springans could be a really big cost. But searching out Springans could help you in a way, too. So that's it for the monsters. Of course, we go into the spells, starting off with the field spell. Dear God, this is actually pretty good. All Springans XYZ monsters on the field will gain 1,000 attack while this is on the field, and you can only use each of the following effects of Vast Desert Gold Golconda once per turn. My bad, I forgot to say its name. Once per turn, if you control no Springans XYZ monster, discard 1 Springans from your hand, special summon 1 Springans XYZ monster from your extra deck. And then if a face-up XYZ monster leaves the field by card effect, target 1 monster your opponent controls, it cannot attack for the rest of the turn. It's very good. You can discard a Springans, summon a Springans XYZ monster, and then that Springans monster you discarded can probably just attach itself as material as well. And then when we later get into the extra deck, that bottom effect actually comes in handy, is because their extra deck monsters can actually banish themselves from the field. Their effects, and then Gold Golconda's effect does take place, because since they left the field by a card effect, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and prevent it from attacking. So it's actually a pretty good field spell for the archetype. Now going into Springguns Watch. Holy shit, this is a fucking spell, isn't it? So it's basically a terraforming and a searcher all at the same time. Now let's just get into the effect. Add 1 vast gold Golconda from your deck to your hand. There's your terraforming. But if you already have a vast desert gold Golconda on the field zone, you can apply this effect instead. Add 1 Springguns monster from your deck to your hand. There's your searcher. Then you can send 1 Springguns monster from deck to graveyard, and there's a Foolish Burial. God, this card is actually ridiculous. It's either a terraforming or it's a searcher plus a Foolish Burial. Holy shit, that is pretty good. Yeah, especially in this archetype where you can actually search out the vast gold Golconda pretty easily in the archetype. Dear God, this is actually pretty decent for the archetype. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous spell. Now on to the traps. It does have 2 traps coming out in Blazing Vortex. First one is called Springguns Blast. If you control a Springguns monster, choose 1 opponent's main monster zone, or up to 2 if you control a fusion monster with a Fallen Albaz listed as material. If a face-up monster in that zone, this turn it cannot attack directly, and it's also negate its effects. If no monster is in the zone, it cannot be used this turn. You can activate 1 Springguns Blast per turn. That's actually a pretty decent effect. It's a non-targeting negate, so you can negate something like Dragoon because it doesn't target. It doesn't even target a zone technically, but it does not target the monster itself. It targets the zone the monster is in, and then it can negate it and prevent it from attacking. So pretty good. And then it's a bottom effect if it's a zone. If you choose, I don't know if you no, it says main monster zone. So basically, if it doesn't have a monster, then they can't use that zone for the turn, which is, a little less because there's 4 other zones they can use. So the top one is pretty good, but the bottom one is still pretty decent. Now, you can choose up to 2 main monster zones if you control the fusion monster with fusion materials is listed as Fallen of Albaz. Here's the thing, Fallen of Albaz doesn't really see use right now, so that effect is rarely going to get off onto the field. So, yeah, I don't really see that being a problem, but you can still, this effect is still pretty good. Then the other one is Springguns Call. Its effect is target 1 Springguns monster or Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, special summon it, and then during either playing turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and 1 fusion monster from your graveyard, target 1 Springguns XYZ monster you control, attach 1 fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck to the targeted monster as material. You can only use this effect, or each effect of Springguns Call once per turn, so hard once per turn. So it's all right, I guess. This is a way to summon Fallen Albaz from the graveyard. This is like during your opponent's turn, waiting for them to set up. Go Springguns Call, spell summon Fallen Albaz effect to automatically just get that fusion summon off. So that can be pretty good. And then at the bottom effect, just attach materials. Not that good because the Springguns can attach themselves anyway, so there's really no point in that bottom effect, but it's still okay without a doubt. So that's it for the main deck cards. Now let's get into the extra deck. You got an XYZ monster and you got a fusion monster. Now the XYZ monster requires 2 level 8s, so it's a rank 8. You can choose 1 opponent's main monster zone or spell and trap zone to attach any number of materials from this card. If you do, destroy that many cards your opponent controls that are in those chosen zones and or in the monster zones or spells and trap zones to the bottom, top, or adjacent to that zone. And then during the opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase. And then you can only use each effect of Springguns Ship Explorer once per turn. So first off, the top effect is really ridiculous. So, like I said, the Springguns monsters can attach themselves. So, right now, it can get a maximum of 4 onto Springguns Explorer. So, its effect, if you detach 4 and you choose, let's say you choose the middle zone, or let's say you choose the zone that's under a link zone. You detach 4. Its effect is you get to choose. You destroy in the zone with that zone you chosen, the one on top, which would be the link zone, the one on the bottom, which would be the spell and trap, the one to the left, which is, the one to the left, which would be the middle zone in that case, and then the one to the right of that, which would be the zone to the right of it. So yeah, pretty fucking ridiculous effect. So you detach 4, you can destroy 4 cards in the zones you choose. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It doesn't target a zone. It targets a monster's. It targets a zone. So that's pretty amazing. So things like that's non-targetable can get past that. Now it still destroys. So like stuff like Dragoon still can get around it, like, because it will destroy the cards in that zone. So Dragoon would still be alive, but still, that card is amazing. And then during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, banish itself, and that would proc the effect of Vast Desert Golconda, because since Explorer left the field by banishing itself, it can target one card on the field and making sure it cannot attack for the rest of the turn, which is actually pretty decent. And now it does have a fusion monster as well called Spleen, the Still Express Dragon. For it to actually properly be summoned, you need Fallen of Albez and one effective monster that will special summon this turn. And then during your main phase, you can move this card you control to another main monster zone. Then you can destroy all cards or all other face-up cards in that card's column. So holy shit, pretty ridiculous effect too. But again, that's its summon effect, and you're not really going to be doing that because, especially since it requires the Fallen of Albez, it's going to be really hard to do that. You're going to have to somehow cheat it out of the extra deck. So, but its bottom effect is during the end phase, if this card is sent to the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add or special summon one Springans monster or Fallen of Albez from your deck. You can only use each effect of Spleen the Still Express Dragon once per turn. So it's basically like the Invoked package with Titanclad. So if you send it to the graveyard that turn with something like... So yeah, this can be splashed with Invoked basically. So yeah, it's basically just the same thing as Titanclad. You can special summon one of the... Add or special summon one of the Springans monsters, which is pretty decent as well. So that's it for the whole core that's coming out in Blazing Vortex. They do have other cards that are getting released, such as Merrymaker, Brothers, and Booty, but that does not release in this set, at least. So yeah, without further ado, let's go into my... So, is the Sprigguns Archetype actually good? My opinion, it has potential. Now, the XYZ monster I can maybe even see play outside its archetype, since it requires 2 level 8 and it actually has a decent effect too. I can actually see that being played outside its archetype. But in its archetype, it's fucking amazing because you can keep attaching to it, get that effect off, and then banishing itself. All that crazy good stuff. The field spell is still pretty decent. Now, the monsters and stuff, yeah, they have some things that they need to fix with the monsters. Like, the captain is like the only one that's pretty decent, and that's because it has a disruption effect, but all the others aren't like that good, but it is getting more support in the future. And like I said, with Brothers, Sprigguns, Brothers, Merrymaker, and Booty, they're all getting released later in the future. I think it might be Lightning Overdrive, but I could be wrong about that. And that support would be is fucking ridiculous for the archetype too. Merrymaker is basically a Foolish Burial. Brothers is when it gets if it gets sent to the deck to the graveyard, it can send another as well. So that's pretty amazing for the archetype. And then the Booty is just another searcher for Vast Golden Gondola as well. So this archetype has so many ways just to just get its field spell out, get its XYZ monsters out. Just it's so amazing this archetype can do. Now, the fact that I do says it has potential also has to be splashed with another archetype, I would think. Because right now, it just doesn't have anything to go by itself to do something. It has to be splashed with something else. Something like Dogmatic or just some other like machine archetype as well could work. But it's just like right now it needs to be splashed with something to make it good. It does not have enough potential to just work by itself. So it has potential if it gets splashed with another archetype that makes it better too. But by itself right now, probably not. Maybe if it gets the archetype or the support later on in the future, maybe we'll have that potential by itself. But even then, I would say it needs to be splashed with something else as well. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.